Hi, my name is Sjoke Merk. I work at the School of Business and Economics as a finance lecturer. That means I'm involved in several bachelor and master classes within our finance track. I was actually asked to tell you something on task developments within our courses. I think what is most important within our task development here is that students have to tap from their own experiences, what they already know about several course topics. So you might think about several topics here within our finance industry, like the financial crisis, bonus culture within the financial industry now. Think about the banks and their bonus cultures there, but also how the government is involved within our financial industry. So I think this is really critical that students have to think about what they already know, and as an instructor, where you want to go from. Most importantly here, and that's really what you have to make clear from the outset, is that you explain the goals of the course from the outset. So in the course book you have to explain what the goal of a specific course is. Well, these tasks should also cover a structure, and they should contain a structure with an introduction, a core and a conclusion. So typically we set up the courses like that. Introduction here, I think the first part of the tasks should really be on what you want to actually determine and what you want to get out of a course. So I would say the first set of tasks really should enlighten the students on what you want to get out of these classes. The core is where you actually link the theory to practical issues. Well, here once again you might think about practical issues being how the government stepped into the financial crisis after the bubble burst, for instance. They, for instance, banned short selling for financial institutions. Well, you might, together with the students, cover this in the pre-discussion tasks. During the pre-discussions, what is most important there is that students explain what they already know concerning certain financial concepts. As an instructor there, you should be really, you should actually explain them what they know, that they can link that to the models they are going to read on during, of course, the homework studies. So what is important here is that you explain what they know together with them during the pre-discussions, what you do together with all the students in the small PBL classes, that they learn at home, what they can actually apply in class. So from what they know to new concepts in what they learn at home. Well, typically we use textbooks in order to enlighten them on these new models and concepts, and also academic articles. Normally, and I think that covers actually all of our classes, we use descriptive tasks. So for each class you might think about roughly 15 to 20 max tasks. Well, these tasks are descriptive, so that means there is a text, and typically they cover an introduction, a core and also a conclusion. Normally we set these tasks up in the way that they first once again tap on previous knowledge of the students, and in the remainder and the core of the text we actually cover new concepts where they can actually link what they know to new concepts. I think this is quite critical. So what they actually do there is make a connection what they know and what they're about to know, and what they learn once again in textbooks on chapters and academic articles. I think what is really important within our finance system is that we try to make it as practical as possible. So we use information from newspapers, industry specialists, banks, governments, but also popular data sets like Bloomberg, FactSet and the like. So I think that's really important that you explain it's not only theory, of course, it's an application of the theory, and you can really apply it in the real world. So I think that's where we stand for, and that's what we try to foster at our system here. How to evaluate the tasks? So typically I think what is really critical here is that the evaluation should be done prior to a class, during a class, but also after a class. So before a class you should be really be critical to the tasks, whether it follows a correct and accurate flow and structure. And during the class, of course, in the class you have a feeling whether or not students are acquainted and that they understand what you want to get out of these tasks. So you might, of course, already alter that, but of course that's quite hard. But for the next year you might, of course, take that into account there. Well, after class, of course, you can ask students whether or not they understood the tasks, and to sit together and talk about that, whether or not they really understood the tasks there. Well, the sources. So I think evaluation should come from students, of course, colleagues, your colleagues here, so also tutors that tutor the class, and I think yourself is, of course, quite an important source there as well. So you should be really critical there. Well, a popular task among students is a task on the financial crisis. So what we do there is talk first about the consequence of the crisis, because most students already know what happened. But what they don't know is the causes here of the crisis. And one of the main ingredients of the crisis is the role rating agencies in the US played. In most cases, students are not aware of that. They heard about the term, rating agencies and what they do, but not the exact role they played during the financial crisis. Well, what we do there, we offer them actually a movie. So it's a movie on the financial crisis, and more importantly on the causes of the financial crisis. So actually the homework is there to watch that movie. And the next session, well, we are going to talk and discuss that movie and how they actually think, how this, of course, could have evolved, but more importantly, how this in the future can be prevented. And what you see there is, well, since the crisis, not a lot of steps, at least that's the conclusion most students draw, is not much has been changed. So a popular, discussion point during those sessions is, might such a crisis again happen in the future again? Well, conclusion is, of course, that we cannot tell, but based on what we know and what we've seen, it might happen. In the first year class, we ask students actually to become a financial analyst, and we offer them a data set, so annual statements of a particular firm. And what we actually ask them on is, imagine you are such a financial analyst. What kind of data do you need? And how to actually transform that data into, let's say, consumable and interesting data for your clients. And we offer them a lot of freedom there. And what you see is that they come up with different kinds of conclusions there on the financial health of such a company. And it's of course quite interesting, because they have to pitch that, how they're going to sell that information and that actually their product to, let's say, the real world. And I think that's actually critical. So not every student is the same, and we here offer them actually an opportunity to express themselves on how they interpret data. And most critical here is that they come up with an own advice here, so that based on the data set, here the financial information of a firm, that they interpret in such a way that it still makes sense. But the interesting part is that all of them come up with different conclusions. And PBL here allows us to have a very solid discussion on how the financial health of such a company looks like. So I think that's one of the merits here of such a pre-discussion and also post-discussion of these tasks.